So, my name is Casey Tremper, and I am a part of URI Coastal Resources Center and Rhode Island Sea Grant. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for DEM to hosting us at the Breachway. This is a project that we have been working on for the last couple of years with the town of Charlestown, Coastal Resources Management Council, as well as a variety of partners. Thank you so much to our advisory group, to the funding from Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, and we are also grateful to all of our Salt Ponds Coalition's members for helping us to make all of these super well known about. So thank you so much for spreading the word. So as many of you know, the emergency repair was constructed in October of 2024. So we are just going to touch base a little bit about those repairs, how they have been faring over the last few months. Steve McCandless from the town is going to talk to us for a little bit about that. We will also have some information about the social science that has been going on with the University of Rhode Island from Jamie-Lynn Ward. And then Emily Hall from the Coastal Resources Management Council will also be speaking about permitting right after we hear from Steve again about funding. So I'm going to hand it off now to Steve.
Waiting to push the button.
It should be all set for you to go.
Okay. So thank you all for coming out. It's great to see so many people interested in the project. Basically, we wanted to try and give everybody an update on how things went through the winter. Anybody who's spent the winter here has seen that things worked. Okay, so the temporary repair, I think, has been a success. We got lucky. We didn't have any big storms. We did have some storms that were good size, but no big hurricanes.
Steve, you got to put the microphone closer to your mouth.
All right, that better? So nobody heard what I said. I'm not going to repeat it, but I appreciate everybody being here.
Just keep on talking.
I also am not good with these things, so I apologize again. The temporary repair, it took us about a week to do. I don't know if a lot of you were here or not. I think probably a lot of you guys did see it. It took about a week to do. We went and started from Blue Shutters. We stockpiled all the rock down there at Blue Shutters. We traveled down the beach with the material and we stacked it in that area. We also built a small dune that you can see in the background there on the opposite side. That has large sandbags in the middle of it, and then we covered it up with sand. We did have to come back at one point about 3 weeks after the project was completed, do a couple of minor fixes, a couple minor repairs to it to make everything a little bit better. After that repair, it held up really well. While we were doing the repair, almost immediately, as soon as we put the rocks in and we blocked the flow coming through, that beach started building back up. Within 3 weeks of having that beach start to build back up, we saw an increase in elevation, an increase in distance. Through the winter, it's continued to grow. Last flight that we did, we have a beach now that is at almost the same distance as it was in 2012 prior to Hurricane Sandy. Now that's not talking about the elevation. I've got some maps up here that I'll go over with you guys one-on-one afterwards if you want to take a look. But basically, we've been calculating the volume of material that we lost during the storms in December, kept track of it, kind of calculated how much material came into the pond, and now we've been able to calculate how quickly it's coming back, doing LiDAR flights and collecting other data. So it is back to about 2012. It's definitely better than it was in 2014. The small dune in the back, we put that up just in case we had any weather before the beach started forming. You can see the beach now is actually higher than that small dune that we have. When we get to the point of doing the full repair, that material that's in that small dune has to be removed. We will take those plastic sandbags out, and we're going to replace that with a much larger, much more substantial dune system that will have core envelopes in it, which are basically coconut fiber bags that are as long as we need, and they'll be about 3 feet wide on the base and about 2 feet high each one. We're going to make a pyramid out of that to recreate a dune appearance and cover it up and then put vegetation on top is the ultimate plan. Okay? We're going to have next to talk about the social science, right? I'm sure you hold on to that now.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having us. I'm Jamie-Lynn Ward. I am a social scientist and former marine affairs student from the University of New Haven, and I worked in part with Dr. Emily Diamond, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the social science that we did over the past year, which a lot of you may or may not have taken part in, so thank you for that. So the social science team, we were brought on to really help get a better understanding of community perspectives, build stakeholder buy-in in this project, as well as engage the community in the construction and future resilience efforts in the town. We used a bunch of different sampling methods, which really helped to understand users' priorities and concerns, not only for this Breachway restoration project, but to boost the resilience in the town of Charlestown in general. We also wanted to identify the town's communications needs, know how you wanted to receive this information, what information you were missing, and how we could tailor these messaging strategies with different partners in the area, such as the Salt Ponds Coalition, the CRMC, as well as the Resiliency Commission, so that they could better engage their policies and projects. So how did we collect data? So we started with a stakeholder analysis. This started with conversations with our greater advisory group, and then a snowball method after that, talking to the different business owners in the area. Some of you might have seen us going out on the beaches, doing surveys and sampling approaches, and really just getting the town engaged. We also conducted a series of focus groups and interviews, which a lot of you also engaged in. Thank you for that. Really to just get deeper conversations with the town and see what you really wanted to come from this project. So what did we find? It's no surprise that the visitors and the residents of Charlestown are deeply attached to this town. You all really love the Breachway. It's really boosting your economy. It's part of your livelihoods, and that really boosted people to want to see this project take place from an economic standpoint as well as from a generational standpoint. So an interesting finding was that a lot of people weren't familiar with this initial Breachway restoration project, and that really opened the door for us to get the community more involved and to help Steve spread the word. So a lot of the priorities that the people said that they wanted was from an economic standpoint. The businesses in the town rely on it, like the aquaculture industry, as well as the tourism sector during the summer, so it needed to be sustained. Now, we also found that climate resilience remains a priority in the area. We found that 84% of our survey participants are somewhat to very concerned about the climatic impacts that are happening in the area, with the main stressor being coastal resilience, both in the present and the future. People are recognizing that the beaches seem to be eroding away and that they're losing this access that's important to them. We also looked at different policy motivations. What was boosting people for these climate change and promoting coastal resilience in the area, and a main driver was economic costs. People wanted to know what was going to happen to their taxes, were their insurance rates going to go up, how this was going to affect their business revenues. But we also found that social equity as well as environmental impacts and considerations were a big motivator. The people of Charlestown really like to balance the needs of the community with the needs of the environment. So for them, that was a big motivator. We also found that people, no surprise, support hard resilient structures. You've all been historically exposed to the Breachway since the 1950s, so people really wanted to maintain. They don't want a dynamic approach such as these dunes and the natural vegetation, although it's becoming more popular. People really want to maintain what they have in the town and keep that for generations. Now, from a communication standpoint, we found that more engagement and communication is overall needed. A lot of people don't know what climate resilience is. They know certain aspects of it, like what a breachway is or what the word retreat is, but they don't know the full applications of resilience, and this is really opening a door for the different environmental organizations in the area to get the community more engaged about resilience. We also found that nearly half of our survey participants, both residents and visitors of the town, don't feel informed or engaged in current town planning and management decisions. And we've been able to take this information, provide it to CRMC, the Coastal Resilience Commission, as well as Steve and the different town council to give you guys the information that you really want and get you more engaged in initiatives. And with this, we found that overall you all just want more information, whether this is about the navigability throughout the Breachway, what's going to happen during the summer season, our beach pass prices are going to go up. We're able to tailor our messaging and information strategies to get you the information that you really want. And with this, we also looked at what kind of communication sources you liked. We found that people in the area really trust getting information from the scientists and the researchers, the local environmental organizations like the Salt Ponds Coalition, as well as our local government officials like Steve. So we're able to give them this information so that they can get it out to you in a prompt fashion before these summer months, so you can make whatever travel changes you need. The businesses can better adapt to what they need for the summer season, and overall just get the community more engaged in these resilience initiatives. And I'm going to pass it back to Steve to talk about our funding updates and our next steps.
So we are still progressing. We have been able to get all of our permits submitted. We have gotten the all the dredge permits that we need now. I just got the final Army Corps of Engineers permit, was just delivered this morning to me. So our permitting is our permitting is mostly in place. We have submitted the application for our permit to do the final repair, the bigger project. We'll talk a little bit about the bigger project in a little while, but essentially we're going to continue what we did, elevate it back up the rest of the way, all the way back to Elbow Beach, use dredge material to place up inside and recreate some dunes. So that permit has been put in. Most of what we needed to do for Army Corps is completed on that end. We still are waiting with DEM and CRMC to finalize those pieces. So we are moving quickly and doing very well. The funding sources that we have, of course, we didn't get the federal funding we were hoping for, but we did get, the town has put money aside, so there is some money in from the town, CRMC, and we are very, very hopeful that DEM is also putting funding in. All of the funding will not be 100% secure until July 1st, which still gives us plenty of time to get the work done that we need to get done. We will have to have a good idea of what we're doing at least by August, which I'm sure we'll know way before that, in order to get the whole process through. We've got to go out to bid to get the project completed. We have to know how much of the projects we're going to do. When we put the plan together, we did do it in a way that we will be doing, we have the option to do it in a phased approach if we need to. So we just need a little bit more money in order to at least do the first step. Should I talk a little bit about the first step? All right, good. I will pass this along to Emily and let her talk a little bit more about things.
Hi everyone, can you hear me in the back? Awesome. Thank you again for coming out. I know beach season technically starts this weekend, but it doesn't really feel like it tonight, so thank you for being here. I am the coastal geologist for the Rhode Island Coastal Resource Management Council, so I'm the scary state regulator that Steve has to call every week and give an update to. But so far, things are looking really, really good. So we've been listening to your feedback, we've been listening and know that we need a solution as soon as we can basically make it happen. So that date that Steve just dropped of July 1, that is the end of the Rhode Island State legislative session. So by the end of the legislative session, we're going to know how much money everyone is allocated to which departments, which towns, and all of that. That's my deadline, basically, for getting Steve his permits and for making sure that all of the paperwork is in order so that we can start planning and start doing what we need to do. So what are we going to do? If we can all look over at the Breachway, we see this about 150-foot section that's a little bit lower. That was our emergency repair section, all right? And the elevation of that about right now is what, about 6 feet? It's about 6 feet high. Our high tide elevation is about 2 feet. So we've got an extra 4 feet of wiggle room, basically between high tide and the top of this central, we're gonna call it the core of the western jetty. The next step for building on the core is to put in what we call armor stones. So those are going to be bigger and they're going to be more angular, and it's going to bring it from 6 feet up to 8 to 9 feet at various points along the Breachway. So phase 1 for everything else is doing the core, right? So we have phase 1 for this one section done, and then phase 1 for everything else is doing the core, and then phase 2 will be armor stones across all of it. So we're going to bring it up to 6 feet, and then we're going to bring it up to 9 feet. Those numbers matter, all right? So if we had a presentation, it would be useful, but that's all right. So I'm just going to read off a couple of these important elevations for us. Current high tide, we're at about 2 feet. Our current breachway max is about 4 to 5 feet. Our repaired section is around 5 to 6. And then our Sandy storm surge. So for those who were here 2012, 2013, that is above where that temporary section was. So our Hurricane Sandy storm surge was about 6.5 feet tall. So we're building to 9 feet. We're building above what Sandy would have inundated, all right? We're also building above what we think sea level rise is gonna be by 2100. We're not just designing your breachway for today, we're designing it for your kids, we're designing it for your grandkids, right? Just like we've been able to enjoy the breachway in its current state for the last 70 years, we wanna make sure the pond is gonna be healthy. We wanna make sure our aquaculture economies are gonna continue to thrive. We want to make sure the beach is going to be here for the next 50 to 70 years. So as you start to see work going, it's going to look like a lot of big rocks. It's designed that way, right? And that's part of what resilience here means. It's designing in a way where we're designing for the future, not just for today. So it's going to be able to withstand the storms now. It's going to be able to withstand the storms in 2100. That is our hope for the project.